न योगेन न सांख्येन कर्मणा नो न विद्यया ब्रह्मात्मैकत्वबोधेन मोक्षः सिद्ध्यति नान्यथा.
This is a verse which I already explained yesterday, but I would like you to know it more precisely and more comprehensively. We have a number of religious practices in the country, devotional practices also. In the sphere of spirituality also you will find various cults, various practices. We have something called Vamachara, Aghora Sampradaya and so many things. In the internet you will find a dead body was floating or is floating in Ganga. Suddenly a sadhu catches hold of it and he is cutting and making use of it, including taking the blood and flesh. What do you say about India? There are so many practices. Our country is great plurality. Even the Supreme Court has said God also will not be able to set right India. The ample differences are there even in the religion and spiritual field. This being the background, what you have to understand is what is the right goal and emphasis we must have. That is where the shloka has a lot of importance. Na yogena, na sankhena, karmana, no, na vidyaya. By any kind of a physical or sensory practice, all the religious acharas and anushtanas come within sensory practices. Our hands and feet are involved, mouth is involved, eyes, ears, etc. are involved. Even fasting in reality is a physical practice. But when you miss your meal, the mind becomes conscious. So it is a punishment to the mind also. Any form of austerity is twofold. One is incorporating something which you do not normally do. Incorporating something which you do not have as a routine. For example, you get up in the morning, maybe immediately or otherwise you take your bath, you have your breakfast, you go to the office, come back, read the newspaper, talk to the household people a little, maybe, and you go to sleep. This is the normal routine we have. Now, apart from this, if you incorporate a religious routine like, I will chant half an hour, either God's name or read something, that is an additional routine, and go on doing it consistently, then it becomes an austerity. Another austerity is missing what you are doing deliberately. Today is Saturday or Monday. I will go to a Shiva temple, worship there, do pradakshina and come back, taking maybe an hour or a half. That is an additional exercise which you include. Suppose you miss a meal. Anything that you drop from the regular routine or anything that you add to the regular routine. So I always say austerity is always one of either incorporating something additional or dropping what is regular. That is why upavasa is very effective, is considered to be very effective. Suppose there is no food, I don't think the real Hindu will be affected. Aaj upavas to ho gaya, acha hi hai. Our Prime Minister has gone to United States with his upavasa. The White House hosted a beautiful lunch or dinner for him and he was under upavasa. Just see, it's not something very small. You should understand it. But this upavasa has to be, or the disciplines have to be progressively from the physical level to the oral level, from the oral level to the mental level, and from the mental level to the intellectual level. Now, this is that intellectual level which you are getting exposed to. A person who does Vedic ceremonies on the one hand, another man who reads the Vedas, tries to understand and evaluate them by spending time, spending his intelligence, using his intelligence, finally coming to the Upanishads, discussing, understanding, evaluating, and then coming to a recognition. This is the recognition. What is that? Na yogena, na sankhyena, karmana, no na vidyaya. By any kind of yogic practices like pranayama, asana, mudra, and some more further developments. Sankhyena. Oh, how many principles are there? 24 principles are there. What are these? Panchabhutas, Panchendriyas, Panchatanmatras, mind, ahankara, buddhi, yahu. See, some people are interested in these ratiocinations. This is one. Karmana novana vidya, rituals and ceremonies. And even scholarship, reading and studying philosophy, all these are part of it. Somewhere it is sensory, somewhere it is oral, somewhere it is mental, somewhere it is intellectual. In all these things you don't get the goal. So he says, Brahma Atmaigatva Bodhena. It is a question of developing and gaining an awareness. What is that awareness? What I am trying to search and seek is already within me. By saying I am making a reference to the Supreme God. See, we are saying, Bhagavan ki yaad rakho, Bhagavan ki yaad, Narayan, 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 Narayan. Every time you say Narayana, till you say the other word, you are missing him, is it not? No. Huh? You don't understand? Narayan. Only when you complete the 3 letters, it becomes Narayana. So in the 3 letters, the 3rd letter, till you complete it, you are away from Narayana. And after you stop, that stopping also you are broken. So when are we remembering Narayana? Are we not more forgetting him than remembering him? Nahi samjha. Boliye na. See, we will pick up any example and any analysis we will do. Narayan, 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 Narayan. In the whole process you tell me, are you really fully saying Narayana, or most of the time it is incomplete and there is a gap? Now there is another way. What is that? If I am going to remember God, God becomes a subject or object of my memory. So I have to remember Him, Him. That means I am not remembering Him. So you think the other way. God whom I want to remember is actually denoted by the term I itself. So should I remember God or stop remembering and recognizing that the very I which I am saying, that is referring to God? So is God to be remembered or is God to be realized? Boliye na thoda. Then instead of realizing, what are you doing? Like a dog barking, we are going to the temple, going to the picture, going to the holy places. By doing all these things, you are linked with the object. But any time anyone can realize God only in his heart, so we are missing. That is why he says, Brahma Atmaigatva Bodhena. It is in the nature of a bodha, awareness, experience, realization, cognition. सोचिए ना, हम भगवान बोलते हैं, किसको बोलते हैं? भगवत शब्द से हम सूचित करते हैं एक उपस्थिति को, एक सान्निध्य को. वो सान्निध्य कहाँ है? Even when I observe something, I am observing, the observer is within, the observation also is within. There is nothing without at all. Why don't you realize this fact? Experience is internal, inner. I may say this. This is an object of my sight. I am saying it is an object of my sight. This statement itself depends upon what you tell me. When I refer to it as an object, am I not referring to my inner experience? हाँ? थोड़ा सोचिए ना. What are you referring to as an object? I am referring to as an object a thing which I see. So the I comes first. My sight is referred to as an object. So can the object ever be there if I were not there? And I am not seeing with my eyes. The seeing itself is registered in my within, in my mind. So all object references are actually subject experiences. Do you agree or not? Huh? I will stop until you assimilate what I have said. All references to objects, are they independent entities, or are they references made on the basis of my own inner experience? तब ऑब्जेक्ट कहाँ है? तब जब हम भगवान की स्तुति करते हैं, आराधना करते हैं, थोड़े समय सोच लीजिए ना, किसकी आराधना मैं कर रहा हूं? पत्थर की आराधना कर रहा हूं? चित्र की आराधना कर रहा हूं? आराधना करने वाले हम हैं. आराधना का पात्र कौन है? एक उपस्थिति है. वो उपस्थिति कहाँ है? So you must come to recognize that what I refer to as I, that itself is the one I want to reach, I want to worship. This is the point. Brahma Atmaigatva Bodhena. It is in the nature of Bodha, awareness, an experience or cognition. Brahma Atma Egatva. Atma is a reference to one's own inmost presence. Brahman is the same presence in an all-pervading manner. It is something referring to breath. What? Breath. When you refer to breath, please analyze it. What am I referring to? Am I referring to my nose? Huh? बोलिए ना. I am referring to breath. Am I referring to the nose? Am I referring to the lungs? Or I am referring to the air which enters and exits? When I call it breath, it becomes my biological function and functional reference. But that is not different from the air surrounding me. No. नहीं समझा? Huh? Though I refer to it as breath, breathing, breath, it is not different from the air. But when I say air, it gives me an idea of. But when I refer to the breath, I refer to. But are they different? बोलिए ना थोड़ा. Brahma Atmaigatva Bodhena. In the same manner, when you say Atma, it is a reference to the presence inside. When you say Brahman, it is referring to the same air pervading everywhere. Unless you are able to recognize that these two are the same, moksha siddhyati nanyatha. Moksha is the cessation of search. Moksha is the cessation of sadhana. Moksha is the cessation of doubt, the cessation of difference. हम भगवान की याद करेंगे या जब जब हम मैं हूं बोलते हैं ना, उस समय मैं शब्द से जिसको हम सूचित करते हैं वही है भगवान की पहली उपस्थिति. Until you realize it, When are you going to stop your search or complete it? It's such a beautiful thing. The trouble is nobody will explain it. Nobody will explain. Because to explain it, you must have your own testimony. Otherwise, you will not feel like. First of all, you must have a quest. And the quest must be fulfilled. भगवान के पास हम जाएंगे या भगवान की उपस्थिति को अपने आप में पहचानेंगे? बोलिए अच्छी तरह. हाँ? अनुभव होने के लिए या करने के लिए दुनिया में और कोई जगह नहीं. अपने शरीर के भीतर मात्र है अनुभव करने की जगह. There is no place in the whole world where you can have any experience. The experience is always had in oneself, within you, within your body. You tell me, where are you sleeping? Are you sleeping on the cot? Are you sleeping in your body? कोई जवाब नहीं. See, are you sleeping in the cot? Are you sleeping in your body? Are you sleeping in your mind? You are aware of your mind when you sleep, is it not? Are you sleeping in your intelligence? Are you sleeping in your ego? Are you sleeping in the world? Nobody knows where we are sleeping. It is an experience. The living body produces, and in that experience nothing is there. Body is not there, mind is not there, intelligence is not there, ego is not there, cot is not there, world is not there, God is not there. Still it is an experience. This experience is what is called bodha. In sleep, do you have a bondage? Do you need a liberation? Do you have a God? Do you have devotion? Do you want anything? Hunger and thirst? Do you want to go to heaven while sleeping? तब क्या है? कुछ तो नहीं चाहते हैं, कोई बंधन भी नहीं है, फिर भी हम we are sleeping comfortably. Just see, it's a mystery. It's a wonderful thing. Unless you probe into sleep, you will never understand. Never understand. Sleep is a state where everything becomes non-existent. You also become non-existent. Very strangely, when you wake up, you say, I slept. So the I does not die there. Everything else has become extinct. We are wondering whether the Prakriti will cease to exist. Yes, it ceases to exist every day. It rises only the next morning. See, in Bhagavad Gita there is a verse, Avyaktat vyaktayas sarvaha prabhavantya haragame ratriagame praliyande tatraiva vyakta samjnage. Avyaktat vyaktayas sarvaha prabhavantya haragame. Everything becomes unmanifest during the night. When the day breaks, suddenly everything becomes manifest. Again the manifestation completely gets wiped off during the night. Is this not the experience of everyone? See, that sleeping, that source, it produces the sleep, wipes off everything. It breaks from the sleep and produces everything. This is the way the world has been produced. It will go into extinction, if at all, also in the same manner. None of us will be there when the world is extinct. And none of us was there when the world was evolved, emerged. The only way to approach these two will be through inference. That is why our Shastras are so bold in asserting, Sab kuch to nigala hai, मन नामक उपस्थिति से। पहली रचना मन ही है, मन ही है। पूर्वम मनः समुदितम परमात्म तत्वाद। पूर्वम, first of all, manas samudidam, the mind arose, paramatma tattvad, from the paramatma tattva. The paramatma tattva, paramatma is a tattva. I don't know whether we have any English word to explain. भगवान क्या है? एक तत्व है। परमात्मा क्या है? एक तत्व है, वो एक चीज नहीं। It is not anything solid, objective. It is an understanding. It is a concept. We call it pratyaya. प्रत्यय। आप सभी लोग बोलते हैं मैं हूं, ये हूं क्या है? हूं बोलिए, तुम मुझे एक्सप्लेन करो। हूं का अर्थ क्या है? थोड़ा बोलिए ना, हूं का अर्थ क्या है? नहीं, सभी लोग तो बोलते हैं मैं हूं। जो हूं वाला क्या है? हर एक नहीं, हर एक आदमी का एक रेफरेंस है। किसकी रेफरेंस है? इट इज अ तत्व which you can understand from your intelligence, by your intelligence. So Bhagavan is a tattva, Atma is a tattva, the supreme reality is a tattva. You cannot prove it in a laboratory, you cannot show it before the senses, you cannot penetrate into the mind of anybody, but we can explain it, and at one time you will know that it's a fact. Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly uses a word, upalabdhi matram. Boliye? What is this upalabdhi matra? It is in the form of an idea which we are able to feel, evolve and deal with. Upalabdhi means you have to experience it, feel it or understand it. When I say plus, you tell me what is this plus? Can you show me what is zero? Can you show me what is infinity? बोलिए ना, चुप रहते हैं क्यों? What is zero? It is a concept. You have to understand it. We can explain it. Our Shastras, the other day when I was speaking about zero, I was quoting the relevant verse and then says, this is how you arrive at zero. So these are, when I want to explain zero, I will begin to speak and you will begin to hear. As I go on speaking and explaining, your mind also will go along with me, along with me, along with me. Bah. ठीक है. That is called upalabdhi. In the same manner, Bhagavan is an upalabdhi. 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 The I is an upalabdhi. Everybody says I. But can you tell me what it is? Can it be shown? Can it be pictured? So this is called bodha. Brahma atmaigatva bodhena moksha siddhyati na anyatha. There is no other way, he says. There is a book written by Shankara called Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sara Sangraha. It is 1000 verses. The entire Vedanta is explained. There is a verse, Pratyak Brahma Vichara Purvam Ubhayore Ekatva Bodhadvina Kaivalyam Purushasya Siddhyati Parad Brahma Atmata Lakshanam Nasnanairapi Kirtanairapi Japaihi No Kritsrajamdrayanaihi No Vapyadhvara Yajna Dana Nigamaihi No Mantra Tantrairabi. Do you like to hear all this? Really? कभी कभी हम बहुत सटल बोलते हैं ना हम. आजकल हम इसी प्रकार बोल सकते हैं. I don't like other things. प्रत्यग ब्रह्म विचार पूर्वमुभयोरेकत्व बोधाद्विना pratyak brahma vicharapurvam ubhayoho egatva bodhadvina. Bah. If you are seekers, you should learn this sloka and recite it at least 1000 times. Then your sadhana becomes intensified and true. Pratyak Brahma Vichara Purvam. Pratyak means the inmost presence, the I. Brahma means the everywhere presence. Now think about both, the presence inside me and the presence throughout. Pratyak Brahma Vichara Purvam. Go on reflecting upon Egatva Bodhadvina. You try to understand what I refer to as breath and what I refer to as air or wind, both are the same.